I'm going to give you the system that you can copy that successful businesses use to get more customers to buy their stuff the smart way. Before we actually jump into the nitty-gritty steps, I want to give you a real-world example because I think this illustrates perfectly the point on how these businesses operate and how you'll actually be able to copy this system and integrate it into your own business. Let's say that you wanted to buy a car. The chances of you being the ideal customer for that dealership who has cash in hand and you're ready to go in, you know exactly which model you want, they have it in stock, and you're just going to drop it on the table and drive it off the lot is pretty low. Most people just need to have trust. They need to see it for themselves. They need to feel it for themselves. So that is why it makes a lot more sense to advertise something like a test drive, for instance, where you will actually go into the dealership, you'll get your hands behind the steering wheel, you'll drive this car and say, it handles like a champ, it's so good, I love the way it feels, man, look at these seats, look at this tech, look at all this stuff, and now all of a sudden you're really selling yourself on getting this car. And likely they're probably going to still even look at other cars, but now you have the added advantage of saying, okay, you've experienced this. Where do you want to go from here? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to finance it? Do you want to lease it? What's the next step? So how this applies to your business is the same way. And the first thing that we're going to explore is going to be what's called your core offer. Now, the core offer in the car dealership is the car. It's typically the flagship. It's whatever the big vehicle is that they want to sell a bunch of. It's not usually the most premium one. It's not usually the most entry-level one. It's kind of the one in between that most people are going to buy that's typically the best price to performance ratio. These are like your most common vehicles. Same thing in your case, whether you're a product or service. If you're a product, what is the one thing you really want them to buy? What is the thing that you could see the most potential value in them investing in? And when it comes to a service, it's the same thing. What you want to do is to take all the different versions of that and boil it down. If you're a service, put all of the features in a list that are involved in that service, all the benefits they're going to get from those features, and hopefully the big outcome that they're going to get from buying your service. Take this and slap a nice little price on it by making it a flat rate package, the big package for X amount of dollars that they can get. This way you have a good idea, you kind of have a home base to understand what it is that you're ultimately trying to work towards and for them to buy. And this is really important for a service because if you don't do this, then you're going to just have all these different packages, all these different price points, all these different reinventing the wheel scenarios. Just write it down, make it a product, treat it as if it were a product basically. And what would I get if it were a product when I buy your service? How much would it cost? And then if it's a product, it's way easier. All you need to do is to figure out what the flagship is. If it's something that is realistically the thing you want to sell the most of, especially if it's a low ticket item, this is going to be even easier because all you need to do is to just sacrifice something, just like you would in a service, just like we're about to do. And what you're looking to do is to ultimately get them to understand the value of what you're trying to sell to them, because this does a lot of key different things. Most of the time, and this might sound familiar to somebody watching, if you have a lot of people who you work with who buy your stuff and they say, that was great, I loved it, I wish I came sooner, the problem is almost always trust. They don't know what value you provide initially. Until they experience it, then it's very hard to actually understand what it can do for them. So think about it this way, you go to the ice cream parlor and they give you a little scoop. And even though you've had, let's say, strawberry a million times before, is it the right strawberry? Is it too icy? Is it too sweet? Is it too fruity? What version of strawberry ice cream are you looking for? So you point to the glass and you say, hey, I'd like a little sample of that. You try it and go, yeah, this just reaffirmed this is the type of strawberry I want. What you're doing is exactly the same. You want to give them that first little hit, the first little free one. And what we're going to do is actually start to take something within our product or service and start to figure out what we can either sacrifice or what we can charge less for to earn that trust so that they say, hey, this is the flavor of ice cream I was looking for. Now to recap, take your product or service and start to build what's called a core offer. This is going to be the thing that you really want to sell. And this is important that you pick only one thing that you can start with, because once you do that, it eliminates quite a bit of the overhead when it comes to variables, the what ifs. The reason we're starting with one is because we just want to make it simple on ourselves. Now, if you do that, when you actually take your service, what you're looking to do is to put a price on it, tell me all the features that are included, tell me how long it takes, tell me everything and treat it as if it were a product. If you're a product person or a product-based business, this is even easier. Just pick something that you want a lot of people to buy a lot of. Now, the second thing you're going to want to do is to start to sacrifice something in there. What does that mean? Essentially, what you're looking to do is to create a free or very low ticket version of that item. So let's say, for instance, that I did want to sell a website to somebody. They might not be ready to invest multiple thousands of dollars in a website. But if I can get them in the door with saying, hey, I have a $99 SEO package, and so that is a search engine optimization, if you don't know, that will allow them to get more traffic or more visitors to their site. Then they'll look at something like this and say, perfect, I have that spending power. This will solve my problem. If I just had more clicks, more people would buy my stuff. When in reality, if I can get them onto that Zoom call when I'm installing or when I'm setting up or onboarding that SEO for them, and I say, hey, even though this is going to get a lot of people to your website doesn't really have a lot of options for your potential customers or potential leads to take. It doesn't have a next step. You probably need a website that would better convert a lot of those visitors into leads. Then all of a sudden they can start to see the value of, okay, I'm getting 1,000 clicks a month, but really only one person's reaching out. So same thing here. If you have a service, look inside of all those features that you've listed out in your core offer. What is something that you can ultimately solve a little bit of that potential leads problem? Ideally for free or even a low ticket offer. This is something that you want to use as a very, very low rate. Something like a book, a guide, a video course, a widget, a piece of software, something that you can offer as basically a transactional intermediary. And all that acts is as a trust building barrier. So you're not coming to somebody and saying, buy my thing, it's thousands of dollars. You're saying, well, we're going to start here. And then all of a sudden that opens up the door to the next problem. Just like the car dealership is probably going to market the test drive, where all of a sudden you're in the hot seat and you look at this car and you're driving around and you say, it's great. What am I going to do? What can I do next to get this into my driveway? Then all of a sudden the car dealership says, well, we have this leasing option. We have this monthly payment. If you put this down payment, it's this amount. We have this option. We have XYZ. We have all these different versions of you owning this car. But then all of a sudden you're not being pressured because you're not saying to yourself, well, I don't have $40,000 to spend on this car. I don't need a new car. I don't need to buy this thing. Suddenly you're flipped and you're saying, man, that was a great driving experience. I would like to take this thing home with me. So there's 3 things that you're ultimately going to want to incorporate into this. The first is how much, if anything, you're willing to charge to sacrifice something. And by that, you can earn a little bit of trust, which will go a long way to ultimately getting them closer to buying your bigger thing, or ultimately where you want them to go. This is a little bit of ice cream that they give you on a sample spoon, so suddenly they buy 2 scoops. And then they tell all their friends about the great time they had at your ice cream parlor. And this applies to any product or service. So let's say, for instance, we're going to break this down into both versions. If you have a service, take one sacrificial thing out of that feature list and just give away the secrets. Take that and either charge very, very little or just give away the secrets on how to solve that thing for free. And what you're doing right now is you're using that as a barrier, or not really a barrier, basically an entry point for your lead gen to eliminate their barriers to entry. You don't want them to have the what ifs, it's too expensive, it might not work for me. They're looking at that thing and saying, I will take a chance on that because I think this will solve my problem. And even if it doesn't work out, I'm not out any money if it's free, or I'm out very little if it's low ticket. The second thing you're going to want to do is actually take a version of that and see if you can make even just a smaller or more, I would say, miniaturized version of it. Now, going back to our example with services, if we want to switch over to products, this is where this really shines. Let's say, for instance, that you wanted to sell tea online. The problem is people might not be willing to spend $10 for a bag of tea plus $5 of shipping, waiting 2 weeks to get it, but they would be willing to get free tea if all they have to do is pay for shipping and handling, which it just so happens, if you can figure out the right ratio where it's just a small amount of tea in a very lightweight bag, that the shipping cost actually covers the cost of the tea and your shipping as well. That way it feels like they're getting a good deal. A lot of product companies will do this without you even realizing. For instance, there was an iced tea company that did this, and they massively scaled overnight because they essentially just were offering, hey, get a 6-pack of our cans, just pay for shipping and handling, and the shipping and handling would essentially cover the break-even point that it cost them to make the teas, put them in a box, put them in the cans, and actually transport this thing. And then they got the iced tea, the customers would drink it, it tastes amazing, so lo and behold, they go back for more. With products, all you have to do is to figure out either that version of it where you can cover your cost of doing business so that they see the value, aka the little sample of ice cream, or if you can just miniaturize it. Same thing with services too. If you can give them something where it's a free trial, a free intro rate, something like that. Let's say, for instance, going back to the miniaturized version, if we want to do a low ticket offer. If you were a massage therapist, instead of just saying, hey, come buy my Swedish massage, it's $200+ for an hour, then you could say, hey, I'm looking for 5 people who are working from home who want to get rid of their back pain, who want to improve their work performance, and it's only $27 for the first visit. Then when those people come in, you are going to get a lot of people flooding the inbox because, first of all, you have urgency, you have scarcity, you have a limited amount of seats. I would even tack urgency on there, saying that this offer is only good for 2 weeks. And it's a very low ticket offer because once they see the value of your massage work, once they get that and they have that huge endorphin rush and that huge dopamine release, they feel great after it. All you have to do is, once that's over with, say, hey, this is something that is an ongoing strategy. This is something that is an ongoing experience. We would like to book your next appointment. If you had a great time, we can just keep doing this. Do you want to do it next month? Do you want to do it next week? And then just keep naturally flowing into that because you've earned the trust up front of them experiencing the massage, and all you really need to do is to just migrate them to the next step where they keep coming back. What you're trying to do is to either increase the amount they spend or to just increase the amount they spend over a period of time. Now, if you're doing something where, for instance, you don't have the advantage of them coming back each time like a massage therapist, you can still emulate this process. All you need to do is to still give away free versions that get them closer, or low ticket versions that get them closer to that. For instance, if you were a tour company and you were charging $5,000 for a private tour, all you would need to do is to understand ways that you can showcase the advantages of a private tour versus going to the same 5 things that somebody visits at your destination. So what you can do is to show special locals only spots, hidden gems, different pieces that would showcase how your personalized and how your locals only knowledge in a private tour group are going to be advantageous to them because they're not going to feel rushed, they're going to get better knowledge, they're going to get better experiences. And you would have the ability to basically create other versions of that offer underneath it. Now, they might not be able to experience the full tour, but they can gladly experience a PDF guide of the 20 best locals only spots to eat. You get their email information. You can say, hey, I noticed you downloaded my book. Are you thinking of traveling to this destination? Oh, yes, I am. Like, what does that look like? Hop into a free tour guide consultation call. Understand and just tell them what it might look like. Don't even sell them on that, and then say, hey, would you be interested in potentially taking the next steps and booking this tour? Well, we only have a few slots because we are a small tour company. That would be an example of how you can do that. So the first thing is we can either do free. Second thing is we can do a miniaturized version. And the third version of this is ultimately a note that when you do this, it's best to make it infinitely scalable. By that, I mean you really want to get them to the point where, even though the test drive is great, that's going to probably be something that would be the next step after ideally the first step. And the first step, ideally, if you can create it, should be something that's automated, that's easy to scale, and ideally digital. So in a lot of instances, if you don't have somebody who you can give attention to just because there's so many hours in the day, you can at least create something that's a digitized version of this. That could be a guide, let's say a guide to solving something, a video course to solving part of their problem. It could be, like I said, a podcast. It could be, like I said, just something that is an automated version of this. A widget, for instance, like a quote calculator or a punch in the numbers. It spits out another number. There are infinite possibilities, but look for ways, ideally, that before you even get to the next step where they hop into the Zoom call, where you take them out for lunch, where you ultimately are doing something that requires your personal attention or a human being to really take the reins, See if you can lower the barrier to entry by giving something away that is automated. Now, again, the best ones are going to be guides, videos, widgets. I would recommend doing those first and foremost. I guarantee you, if you can take a version like I'm doing now, where I'm creating content of yourself and just sit in front of the camera and create that version of yourself, it's infinitely deployable. Now you have a digital clone of yourself who can say the same thing a million times at 1 a.m. anywhere across the world when that potential lead is sitting in their pajamas at their desk. So to recap, what you want to do is to create smaller versions of your offer, either free, low ticket, and you really want them to be scalable. So if you can take one thing out of your service stack, out of your whole services feature list, and sacrifice that, solve that problem, then you are good to go. If you have a product, can you create a smaller version of that product? Can you create an introductory offer? Can you create something that gets them to hold the product in their hands and ideally see the value of what it is? Think about it always going back to that analogy of the test drive of a car. You're going to get into that car and you're going to create the value perception of how this car would change your life. Or if you think about the ice cream parlor, you take that, you taste it, you say, this is fantastic, give me 2 scoops of it. All you need to do is to earn trust, get them closer towards your core offer by creating less friction in between. They might not be ready to spend thousands with you on this big thing, or even if it's a low ticket item, they might not be ready to say, hey, I want to change my routine and buy something from you, even if it's $10, but they might be willing to get it for quote unquote free, or they might be willing to get it if it's quote unquote going to solve another portion of their problem. Hey, by the way, if all of this is too confusing and you're not really sure how to build your own low ticket or free entry point to get more customers, I have good news for you, because all you need to do is click on the pinned comment or the first link in the description, and for free, step by step, I'll just tell you how to do it for your business so you can cut out all the guesswork and get to the good part faster, where you have more customers who want to buy your stuff. The third thing that you ultimately want to do is to start to deploy this thing. And actually, you have 3 channels that you can do this with. The first is organic content. If you can create content that anchors your value within their mindset, which means that basically you're creating a version that demonstrates how you or your product or your service or whatever you're trying to offer is better than something else that provides value to their life, then all you simply need to do is to elaborate on that and then send them to the next step. So as an example, for the tour guide company, if you were trying to sell them on one of these high ticket tours, that might be a version of saying, hey, everybody visits the Empire State Building, but nobody visits these 5, New York locals only tourist destinations or whatever. Create a video on that so that showcases, oh, this person knows something, they're more valuable, they're not just simply going to take me to the things that I'm already going to go to on a big tour bus and a big tour guide, and I'm going to be pressed for time because we're rushing with 40 other people on the same guide or on the same tour. You're showcasing that you are different, that you have value. And at the end of that video, you would tell them, hey, if you're interested in more, you can get a free tour consultation. You can join my Facebook group. You can download my How to Travel New York Like a Locals guide. You can watch my other videos. Do something where you're taking their attention and their eyes and looking at all the other competitors, or maybe they're not even that far, and get their eyes on your stuff. And if ideally, the best scenario is that you can get their information. If you can get their email, or if you can get them to visit your actual landing page, then you are already set. You're far ahead of the competition, because what you're trying to do is to get it from basically the traffic you don't control, like social media spaces and all those other outlets, or maybe something where you have a marketplace and you're pitted up against all these other competitors. Get them to your stuff. Get them to your other things, especially if you have a landing page. Now, your landing page should be the second component of this. On your website, which if you don't have a website, get a website, because everybody should first of all have a website. But most importantly, this won't work without somewhere to send them to. And most importantly, a landing page is specifically geared towards solving a very specific problem for a very specific person, and everything on that page should specifically be addressing only that. What you can do is you can take them from your content to your landing page to input something. Now, this is the second component of this. The first, like I said, is organic content. The second is using a landing page. And ultimately, if you can plaster this landing page onto other things, say your business card, say it's a button on your website, say it's something that they navigate to from your content, say it's something that they do on your email newsletter, you have to have somewhere to send them to receive your low ticket or free offer. If you don't have that, then it's too much work, it's too risky, nobody's going to do it, because nobody wants to hop on a call only to be able to download a PDF, but they will input their email to do it. If I'm going to hop on a Zoom call with you, it's got to be for something really, really compelling, and not only that, most of the leads aren't even at that stage yet. So that's why you want to have more things below that you can offer before they're ready to even get to that stage that involves a real person interacting. So develop a landing page, specifically change all the language, all the imagery, all the stuff on that landing page to solving that problem. And try and post this to multiple areas. If you can, share it with people, but make it natural. You have to have something that anchors it. That's why content is a fantastic way to do this, because you're showcasing it in video format and you're telling a story about it. You're basically subverting, or you're challenging what their expectation is. If you can create content on that, then it allows you to take them to the next step where it solves a lot of their problems, and all they have to do is enter their email. All they have to do is subscribe. All they have to do is add that thing to cart. Now, the third thing that you can do, and this is the big kicker, is take all the money that you are investing right now in your marketing your core offer and divert it to this low ticket offer. You will be surprised at what the results are. You're going to probably get a lot more people for a lot less money, and you're probably going to be able to quickly see what is and what isn't working on your landing page. It's very hard to determine, let's say you go into your homepage, in a lot of ways to see, okay, what is and what isn't working. But it's pretty easy to see if you drop $100, $200, $300 in a week navigating these people to your landing page, if they even care about the thing. But more importantly, if you're marketing the low ticket offer, that means you're getting a lot of customers, or at least a lot of potential leads who will buy your thing for a lot less investment. What you're looking to do right now is to just sell them at least getting the thing on your landing page. And you can either do that with content, you can do that with paid advertising, you can to some degree do it with other things as well, like SEO, you can also do it with affiliate marketing, but for now we're just going to focus on your stuff, which is going to be the content that you're broadcasting on social media or other Facebook groups or platforms, networking groups, somewhere you're showing this content to people. And ultimately, that landing page needs to have an action they can take. If there's nothing they can do on it, then there is no reason to have it. So once you actually run ads to it, though, what you're looking to do is to get cold traffic, or at least people who are interested in solving a very specific problem, and get them into that. And what you can do even is create multiple variations of that. Let's say going all the way back to the beginning, we have our cold traffic where you're solving a very big, broad, and more emotional problem, or you can create one that's maybe for the mid-tier traffic where they're a little more savvy and they have a very specific, maybe more niche down problem. But in both instances, every time it's going to be a lot easier to get them to just get the free thing or get the low ticket thing, because that is a much easier sell than trying to get them to buy your big thing. And what's great is once they actually buy your low ticket or free thing, they will ultimately understand, more importantly, the value you provide. You'll have trust already inherently built in, and you'll see the results in real time. So the good thing is let's say that now you have all these leads coming into your pipeline, you can send them straight to the next level in your sales pipeline, and they will feel like it's a natural progression. Let's say, for instance, that you were selling weight loss. Instead of selling you my $500 a month workout course, I might give away a free ebook for people who work at home for 3 easy steps on how to turn your home office into a home gym, which what I would do is I would include a PDF with affiliate links for Amazon so I could make a little bit of side income, and that would pay for my marketing. And then I'd also have a little video on some basic techniques and things like that. I would also have maybe some specific elements that they're looking for that are for at-home people who work from home, and then I would plaster that all over a landing page somewhere and run ads straight to that, because now I know exactly who needs it, I know what they want to hear, I know what they're looking for, and I'm actively solving the problem. Now, what would happen is I would start to see more and more of those leads come in. I can build my email list, and I can do a couple different things with that if we want to get fancy. I can send more ads to those people. I can send more emails to those people, or I can just flat out give them another offer to go to the next step. A lot of those people, when it comes to weight loss, realize that it's not really about the gear. It's not really about the things that you're just eating. It's about the discipline to actually do the workout and eat the right food. So it's great when you can jump in and say, hey, I noticed that you downloaded my ebook for how to turn your home office into a home gym a couple months ago. How has your workout journey been going? Now you've solved a couple different things. One, you have trust inherently built in because you gave them something, you solved something, and this really works effectively the higher value you go. Two, you have an excuse to reach out to them. You're not just cold calling them, you're not cold emailing them, you're not annoying them by just reaching out for no reason. And number three, you're pre-qualifying them already because some of them will say, I'm not really interested in this workout anymore. Perfect. See you later, or I'll reach out to you again in 6 months. Or they're going to say, yeah, I tried, it just didn't work out for me. I just couldn't get the routine down. Oh, well, it's funny you mentioned that. We actually do have a class that's coming up in about 2 weeks. We would love to have you join. Would you be interested in that? And you will be surprised at the amount of people who just cut out the friction. Your sales become shorter, the objections they start to wash away, and people are more excited to buy your stuff. Now, to recap, I do want to say one thing before we go through this whole process and discuss what we just did in step 3. You have to give away real value. And this is something that so many people miss the mark on. And I want you to repeat this if you can. Real value. What that means is don't just hide the secrets. Don't just create something that's essentially an ad. Don't try and sell them. Don't try and give away stuff that nobody cares about. If your customer base is looking to solve a problem, solve that problem. If you're not giving away real value, they're just going to exit the page and you're going to be wasting ad spend. You're going to be wasting time. It is not about you. It is about what you can do for them. All you're trying to position yourself as is a guide to better making that process easier. If it's weight loss, don't download a book that I open up and it just is 3 paragraphs of telling me how great your gym is. Tell me how to actually get fit. Now, recapping step 3 is that you want to start to broadcast this thing. You can do that organically by creating content around it, such as blog posts, videos, podcasts, posting it somewhere, talking about it in a networking group, share it with somebody, and try and figure out a way to actually position your content so that it's not just selling people on the free thing, but give them a context on why the actual free or low ticket thing matters. For instance, if it was the tour guide company, I need to know why potentially a private tour guide who might be thousands of dollars more than the cheap 40-person tour group, why it's better. What does a private tour guide offer? Show me a video that demonstrates your value. That will go far better. And make sure to have your offer at the end of that video as well. The second thing that you ultimately want to do is to build some place to send these people to. That could be a Facebook group, that could be a landing page, that could be a separate website, that could be something that's just a lead gen entry form, like on MailChimp or HubSpot or something. You need some place to send these people to that ideally talks specifically about solving that problem, how it works, and something for them to input their information or bare minimum take the next step, whether that's booking a call, downloading something, enter your email here to start, click here to take your free trial. Your goal is to get their contact information in some form or another, or at least get them on a phone call or a video chat, some version of that with you. Then the third version you can do is just flat out paid advertising. Instead of running Facebook ads to your big core offer on your homepage where somebody has to go, understand what this thing is, fill out a contact form, wait for you 10 days to get a quote, divert it straight to that landing page or to your low ticket or free offer. You'll end up getting far more leads for far less investment and who are pre-qualified because they're already interested in solving that problem and they already trust you, ideally once they've tried your thing, once they've gotten the sample. So those are the ways that you can create a full-blown lead and customer generating machine. So if this has been valuable to you, I would love for you to comment below on some of the issues or some of the experiences or some of the wins you've been having as a business owner, startup founder, freelancer, what have you. And as always, go ahead and subscribe because I do put videos out like these at least once a week, and they are all about growing. They are all about self-improvement. They're all about earning more. They're all about actual ways to get better, faster, easier. And that's all I have for you today. Until then, I'll see you next time.